Monday, December the 2nd. As we always do, we start this podcast, we read the inspirational readings on daily motivation for African American success. And today's reading focuses on decisions. Have you decided? Quote, if a man hasn't discovered something that he will die for, he isn't fit to live, unquote. Martin Luther King Jr., civil and human rights activist. A little boy was told by his doctor that he could save his sister's life by giving her blood. The sister was near death, a victim of a rare disease in which the boy had made miraculous recovery. Only chance for survival was a blood transfusion from someone who had conquered the illness. After a series of tests, the boy was found to be the ideal donor. Quote, Johnny, would you like to share your blood with Mary? Unquote. The doctor asked. The child hesitated, somewhat frightened. Then he smiled and said, sure, Doc, I'll give my blood to my sister. The two children were wheeled into the operating room. Mary Taylor said, Johnny robust and fit his health. Neither spoke, but when their eyes met, Johnny grinned. As his blood cycled into Mary's veins, new life seemed to come into her tired body. The ordeal was nearly over when Johnny's brave little voice. The ordeal was nearly over when Johnny's brave little voice broke the silence. Quote, say, Doc, when do I die? Unquote. It was only then that the doctor realized what his moment of hesitation meant. Little Johnny actually thought that in giving blood to his sister, he was giving up his life. He had made his decision and was willing to live by it. People may think decisions require complex thought. Actually, most decisions making it simple. The choices we face are not, what should I do next? Or what should I do this specific thing or not? Life is a series of small decisions. Each decision is natural consequences of earlier choices. For example, Alcoholics Anonymous doesn't counsel drinkers never to take a drink, never to take another drink. That's a daunting step. Rather, it teaches members to make small adjustments that lead to significant lifestyle changes. Not to take a drink that day. It is often the small decisions that are the most important and lead to the biggest changes and breakthroughs in our lives. Today, I will make strong decisions and stick with them. This is so important, learning how to make decisions and follow through with them. And so, I can think of a lot of different decisions that I had to make in life, and choices I had to make. I never forget one time I was struggling financially.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Another Monday night at 7:30. We're in it. We're talking about different topics. My name is Onri Hector, and welcome aboard the Onri Hector Show. I just want to greet everybody. Happy holidays to everybody. Welcome. We're going to get right into it. So, guys, I hope you enjoy. All right.
A voice came to me and spoke and said, check out the following. And what happened was, on that day, when I checked my email, I had got an offer from Encyclopedia Britannica. And so what I did, I started selling encyclopedias door to door, and they provided you with leads. And so it enabled me to begin to have a source of income and revenue that allowed me to be able to put some money on the table and help take care of some of the responsibilities and obligations that I was responsible for in terms of just my financial commitment to my family. And I always have this saying, is that, that there's some tremendous challenges that go on in the African American community. And that one of those challenges is being a black male and being in a relationship, which Brother Hector's going to want to bring up and talk about, and not being able to contribute financially to that relationship. If you're a man without no money, nobody wants you. So it's important that we it's important that we learn how to garnish what we need to do, take care of what we need to do, so that we can feel good about ourselves and financially feel as though we worthwhile and contribute to the financial being of our relationships. Because men without money are one of the highest statistical rates in terms of those that commit suicide. I've had 3 friends in my life that they committed suicide. What was the ultimate reason behind it committing suicide? All of it was related to a money issue. And so, but they made the ultimate decision and sacrifice. And I've been down that road before, but I never could get enough courage to take my own life. Thank God I didn't. So, but the thing is that when you are faced with challenges, then you have to make a decision. And as you make those decisions, then you need to know how to weather the storm, the decisions that you make. But the ultimate decision is if you put your trust and put your hands in the hands of God, God will help you in making that decision, and you'll be able to get through challenges you face with, so that you don't make the ultimate sacrifice, which is feeling though you're not worth anything, not worthwhile, and decide to take your own life. So that's my take on power of being able to make decisions. And so hey, that's my 2 cents for it.
All right. Mr. Hector.
What's going on?
Yes, sir. Well, you got the mic, sir.
Well, when it comes down to relationships, the first thing that comes to my mind is pop culture. Talking about relationships and pop culture. Look at pop culture today and we see that the type of relationship I want. Look at the relationships that we see on TV, the relationships that we hear on the radio, and the relationships that we come across on social media. And to me, on a standpoint of, it might get touchy in here, but
keep it real, bro.
I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it real because everybody looks at relationships. We look at relationships. We define our relationships of what the radio says about us. We look at relationships and we define relationships, what it says on the radio, across all sorts of social media. We see different pages and this is the relationship that I want. This is, the relationship that I need. And the question is, when it comes to relationships and when it talks about relationships are being defined more in pop culture and what people say than what God's word says. And because people don't teach about relationships with balance and with wisdom and the understanding, people tend to go with what's easy, what's tangible, what they can go with. And we wonder why when we're in relationships and we look at relationships and all cross of different medias, we don't consider the relationships that we have or should have when it comes down, the model of relationship when it comes to the church or what God's word may say about relationships. I mean, we say, even when we were kids, I remember some of my female cousins and they used to play with their baby dolls and they used to have a house with Ken and Barbie and they, oh yeah, we're going to get married one day. And, and this is the model that society teaches us. But is that how a relationship is supposed to, what is relationships? What is a model to look at? And that's just my take on it. That's just my honest take on it.
All right. Well, so that left the door open for me.
Okay.
First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, I thank God for this opportunity to speak with you this evening. And also, I don't think I properly introduced our co-host, Mr. Satari Jahi and Mr. Onri Hector.
What's going on, everybody?
And myself, David Murphy. And, Brother Satari was open up about making decisions. And then he had to make a decision about his finances, and he mentioned about relationships. If a man don't provide, then he feels less than, and it's causing some serious problems, even to the point of suicide. Brother Hector got a little deeper on it. He talked about going all the way back to childhood, how minds are being formed by outside resources, media, how little girls start off with a certain mindset, and then and young men. But let me just say this, this is the National Black Unity News podcast, and we like, as I always say, we keep it real. Now, I heard a few listeners called me and told me, he said, you brothers get kind of sensitive. I say, of course we do, because we keeping it real. And if people don't know by now, men have feelings too. We hurt and cry just like everybody else. We care about our family, what goes on with us in our communities. And as men, we feel responsible for all of those things. But getting back to the subject matter of relationships, I think, look, I'm 68 years old. And I just put out a podcast recently, a week ago. I don't think it was that long, but about a week ago, I put out a podcast apologizing, atoning, making amends to Black people, melanated people, about my shortcomings. And that shortcoming was because I didn't give my full attention to my mission in life, and that is supporting Black businesses and services. And it took me almost 35, close to 40 years to realize that it was a relationship issue that I had to deal with. And it was with me, my family, and most importantly, with God. And I think that's where, if we're going to get down to the root of the matter of the thing, that's where it all begins at, with God.
That's where it all begins.
Yes, sir. And God put man on earth, and that relationship from that was the start of it. And God sets a series of principles. Some people may call it laws, but and I always tell people this, that there's, from my perspective, this is me speaking, that there's three sets of laws. There's God laws, there's natural laws, and there's man's laws. And we have to operate in all three of them, even in a relationship, because it's relative. It's what goes up must come down. What goes in goes out. And then God set principles and laws, and you can see that through the Bible, Quran, whatever you choose to call your choice of. But then there's man's laws.
That's right.
Man pulled that, we have all types of laws, rules, and now, gay rights, and you got all of these different laws that are constantly changing.
All the time.
And so then it could be somewhat confusing when you operate on all three principles.
That's right.
But one thing for sure, I always say, if you start from the beginning, then you can get to the root of the matter. And like I say, the root of the matter is a relationship with God, and then everything else will kind of fall into place, so to speak. Because if you have to go to the manufacturer, I always tell people this. I heard it somewhere this way. It was a good analogy about relationships. It is this. If you was a car manufacturer, and you told people, and you even built into the car what they call a thermometer, whatever they call it, a speedometer, and they say it can go 160 miles an hour, and then you go down to man's laws, and man's laws say, well, the laws say you can only go 65 miles an hour, and so since because you get fined if the police catch you if you going 85, 90 miles an hour.
That's
and
right.
So you get in trouble with that way. And if I talk about me being the manufacturer, and I say you can go 160 miles an hour, you may take up issue with me. You say, well, the law say here that you can only go 65 because you never put your foot all the way down on that pedal to really test that the manufacturer's law saying that it can't do this. Then so you have no way of knowing if you don't try. And so, but like I say, this is where the confusion comes in there. when it comes to relationships. Like you said, my brother said, we look in all the wrong places sometimes for relationships. The first relationship you should have is with yourself and with God. Because I'm the first one will tell you. And like I said, we keep it real. Like I said, that video I put out, it was about me making atonements. Because back in the day, I had some serious issues. And one thing I couldn't do, and God's law say, forgiveness. He talks about forgiveness all the time. You say you're supposed to forgive others, and God will forgive you, and you can forgive yourself. But there was something, because David Murphy had another set of principles. I set my own law, man's law. I said I was unable to forgive myself on one main issue. And therefore I carried this baggage around all my life pretty much because I operated on my laws. And because I operated on my law, it affected a lot of people from my perspective. A lot of black businesses suffered because I wasn't operating on 100% full power. And so getting to this relationship thing, and especially us being men, and when it comes to relationship with our children, our spouses, our wives, our girlfriends, a relationship with our community, and most important, relationship to God, man, I suggest you start with the beginning. Have a relationship with God and yourself, because when you operate on God's laws, that precedes every other law. And like I say, God loves us, and we have to learn to love ourselves. And see, we look for somebody else to validate us. Somebody to tell us that I love you and I need you and all this kind of stuff. You need to love you need to love yourself.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Be the example. Like I say, if you love yourself, then other people see the love you have for yourself and they can love you too. But how can you love somebody when you can't even love yourself? And so that's a difficult task. And you got a lot of baggage. But, gentlemen, with that being said, Brother Satari,
yes, sir.
Back to you, when you was getting down to that financial thing, man, that's a heavy subject, brother, when it comes to men and our responsibility. And when a man feels less than, it's extremely difficult for him to keep a relationship going with a woman or anybody else. Because he's focusing on his issues and he feels less than. And so you alluded to something that you came up with one solution, but did that fulfill your purpose at that time, or did you need more?
It helped fulfill my purpose at that time temporarily. And also, it just reminds me of when I was in seminary school. We was told and given the three principles that or two commandments very important. One is love your neighbor as you love yourself, and then love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And I remember the teacher saying, he quoted Malcolm X, who said, "Who taught you to hate yourself?" He said, "The reason you can't love your neighbor as yourself is because you don't love yourself."
That's the truth.
So that took us to a whole nother spiral.
That's the truth.
Learning how to love yourself. And that's why in our community, ultimately when it comes down to brothers killing one another, is because we hate ourselves. And when you watch the Godfather of Harlem, there's Malcolm X, he points out, one of the things he always would tell people, who taught you to hate yourself? Who taught you to dislike the color of your skin, your broad nose, your thick lips, kinkiness of your hair? Who taught you to hate all of those people? And so it becomes very, very difficult if we operate from a mindset in which we view the world through that lens of self-hatred. Then naturally we cannot have any love to anybody. especially our neighbor. Who is our neighbor? Our neighbor, in most cases, is going to be other African Americans, other black people that we're around day to day. And so then we take it to another level, as Father McKnight used to tell me, he says, next he says, once you learn to love your neighbors, you love yourself, is you got to love God with all of your heart, all of your soul, and all of your mind.
That's right. That's right.
So, and so that puts us on a whole nother plane. Because, if not, then, we'd be short-stepped. But once you really open up and really begin to internalize those principles of loving God with all of your heart, soul, and mind, the world will open up to you. Because you'll be able to better love yourself because you see yourself differently.
That's right.
All right.
That's right. Oh, I got a lot to say. Ooh.
Go ahead, brother. Say it.
Ooh, I like what you guys have said. You guys have said, and Satawi, you definitely hit a couple of nuggets right there. One of the things that I like about what you said, people look, well, Mr. Murphy, one of the things that you said, people look for validation in a relationship. People go and they try to find fulfillment in these different types of relationships. And all these relationships have different faces, but they have the same characteristic. Why is that? We go and we search, I'm going to find fulfillment in this person, or I'm going to find fulfillment in that person. And we say to ourselves, at least, they might do a little bit good, even though like 90% of what they do is bad, but I can accept just the 10%. And that has to go back to the validation. We look for validation in people. That's one of the issues when it comes down to relationships. And I strongly recommend people who are listening, you cannot find validation in relationships because everywhere you go, you're going to find the same old problem. And that problem is self. No one showed me the right way. I know I'm not supposed to do this, and I know I'm not supposed to do that. Or should I even be in this? And that's one of the things. And I like what Satari has said. He said, love God with all your heart. There was a scripture in the Bible, and the Pharisees came up to Jesus and asked him a question. Which of the law is what the greatest of them all? Jesus replied, you love God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul. And they thought that was it. Yeah, God, I can identify with that. Praise the Lord. God, I feel renewed. But he said there's another part which is as an importance to the first one I'm getting ready to mention in the second part. He said you got to love your neighbor as you love yourself. We have to learn how to love and accept who we are in order to pass that love to somebody else. That's one thing. Being in a relationship, we have to learn how to be in relationship with ourselves. I think it all starts with a singleness problem. It all starts with a singleness problem. We have to learn how to accept who we are before we allow somebody else to come into our space. Because when I think about relationship, to be honest with you, especially marriage, all that means to me is exposure. And somebody might be asking, well, what do you mean? That means that nobody knows you better than you. Being single, we all know some of the stuff that we would hide. We all know some of the stuff that we just don't want everybody to know. But when you're in a relationship with somebody, you are at that moment being exposed. And they're going to see all of you in all your goodness and even in your bad. So, everybody has some type of relationship, whether it is a husband, wife, family, on the job, off the job. I believe that understanding the relationship part, they want to be connected with someone somehow or some way, but the goal is a little misconstrued. First of all, what is definition of a goal? What is a definition? It's a result or achievement towards which effort is directed, aimed, and so in other words, effort has to be directed to reach that goal. We gotta learn how to be single. You know, I was talking to a lady, matter of fact, a couple of days ago, and she was like, "Yeah, I think I'm ready to be married." And she shrugged her head. She's like, "Yeah, I'm ready. I think I'm ready. It's been about 2 years." And I looked at her and I was like, "What, you're shrugging your arms and think you're ready because it's been a amount time that has passed and now you think you're ready?" So in my mind, immediately I thought to myself, I said, you know what? If she's going into the relationship with shrinking her head, yeah, I'm ready. She's going to be in that relationship, and when issues come up, she's going to be like, whatever. And then it's going to end like that, like it's no big deal. It's all about you. You have to be able to be comfortable with you and ask yourself the question, are you willing to put up with you for the rest of your life? Are you willing to put up with you? You hear me?
Wow, that's a heavy one there.
That's the big question. Ask everybody. I want you to think about this before we step into any type of relationship, whether it's a business relationship, whether it's a relationship with a friend, or whatever the case may be, pastor, baby mama, whatever the case may be. Ask yourself the question, are they giving you balance? Because there's two types of things that I want you to look at. You got assets and the liabilities. If you don't know what that is, liabilities take from you. Liabilities take from you. They take your joy, your peace, and some things that we can never get back, and that is time. We have to ask ourselves, in any type of relationship that we're getting into, whatever it may be, is it an asset or a liability? We understand that assets give to you. They give to you joy, whatever the case may be. That's the big question. And are you willing to put up with that for the rest of your life? I'm done. That's it.
Okay. I'm getting a little feedback. But in any case, when it comes to relationship, my father told me something a long time ago. It made sense to me. You know, when it comes to relationship, we put a lot of esteem on other people. And a lot of people's hearts get broken because they go into this possessive mode. You know, but this is my wife, this is my woman, this, that. My father told me a long time ago, he said, son, you know, men have feelings too. We hurt and cry just like everybody else. We care about our family, what's going on. But in any case, what I was saying is this. If another man, he told me, could take your woman, she's not your woman. And we go into this possession mode. But again, getting back to what my brother just said, when it comes to you, you know, years ago, I used to go to a church called New Psalmist. And I was the vice president of a group called the Singles Ministry. And it was about 500 members attached to that. It was only about 40-something men. And so at that time, a lot of the women and a lot of men were there. They were there because they wanted to have relationships.
Okay.
They didn't want to go it alone.
Right.
But you know, but you know, by being Christians, they had what you call, getting back to the rules and laws. They had certain laws that you don't supposed to cross spiritually.
Right.
But yet you still on earth as a human, so you have man's law, your natural feelings. You had God's law, you had the natural feelings. But this is what I learned from that whole experience. Before you go out there, and you've already hit on it already, brother Hector,
Thank you.
Is this that, you know, we have to prepare ourselves.
That's right.
How can you put on somebody else that you're not willing to put on yourself?
Woo! Good God.
Are you willing to be faithful and true? Are you willing to honor or obey? Are you willing to put that person ahead of you sometimes? Are you willing to do all of these type things the way God said do it? And are you ready? Are you, as a man, Brother Zatari hit on it. God said man supposed to be, based on God's laws, he's a provider. He's a protector. He's this and he's this, that. So are you ready, brothers, to take on that role? Are you stable enough to be a head of household? To go out there to be a winner, a conqueror? Are you willing to protect your children and your wives and your community? Are you willing to lay down your life for all of this? But the most important thing is, don't put on nobody else what you're not able to do for yourself. Like we started off in the beginning, we put too much things on other people to fulfill our own personal needs when we can't even fulfill our own obligations.
That's right.
And so in relationships, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to change the subject matter because it's the top of the hour, but be true to thyself. Be true to yourself, because if you lie to yourself, you know you have no problem lying to somebody else and misleading somebody else. And so with that being said, at the top of that, we're going to take a little station break here. And I want to remind people, this is the National Black Unity News Podcast. And we talk about a lot of subject matter because we really just want to talk about, but getting to the base of the matter why we do this podcast is to communicate and to have relationships, as we're speaking on that. But at the same time, I want to encourage you to support the National Black Unity News because it's here to support you. The National Black Unity News is a nationwide black newspaper circulated across, it's nationwide. And also, we also have a National Black Business Directory. And this directory, we in pre-launch stage up until December the 31st, so you still got about 29 more days to participate at half price. And the purpose of all of this is to keep that $1.2 trillion circulated amongst ourselves, black people, melanated people. And it's extremely important, ladies and gentlemen, that we need to support ourselves. And when speaking of relationship, if we can't do that for ourselves, ain't nobody else gonna come and do it for us. Just like in relationship, we need to take care of self first before we go out to anybody else. And also, I belong to a group called Black Men Unifying Black Men. You hear what I keep saying? Unifying, National Black Unity News. It's all about unity. And on the Black Men Unifying Black Men, we host a monthly breakfast every first Saturday of the month. And we will be holding one this Saturday at Niles Restaurant. And it's from 10 to 12. All black men are welcome. I don't care if you're 6 months old to 106. You're welcome. Come on, bring your children, grandchildren, nephews, and come on, break bread. Don't cost a thing. You just need to show up.
Just show up.
And it's powerful information that goes forth there, and it's powerful networking. And so I encourage you brothers to come out. But again, support the National Black Unity News, because again, it supports you. And you can reach me at 443-455-2373. Now, ladies and gentlemen, getting back to this subject matter. Now, I'm going to try to kind of twist this a little bit.
Twist it up.
Now that we established that we had to look within to establish ourselves in relationship, let's go outside now. Once we get our house in order, now we together, we need to go out into the community, into our household, into our children. And in this day and time, black people are having some serious issues. Not because we are a problem ourselves, but there's other people, other groups and race of people have problems with race. Simple things, because you're black, because you're Asian, because you're Hispanic, that. People have issues with these type of things. That's man, along with us in our communities. And as men, we feel responsible. And so, when men have these type of problems that, with ourselves, and other people have outside people having problems with us, we as black men, what should we do in our community to uplift our communities, to uplift our family, our children, to build foundations for them? And see, that's a powerful relationship because, like I say, we can deal with self, but after you deal with self, you have to deal with the outer community. And Brother Satar, I'm going to start with you. First of all, Do you see a problem with black men in our community? And what if you do see one or some, what do you suggest that we do?
I suggest that we do is make sure that we have our views and our values in order, because they is what determines how we affect what we do and how we make things happen. I want to share, we was talking about relationships earlier, I want to share the wedding vows that me and my wife took 34 years ago.
Whoa. How long ago you say that was?
34 years ago.
Now you're going to put that out there. I'm just going to say this now. Are you holding up your hand? All right, go ahead, brother. I just wanted to, like I said, I am my brother's keeper. So that's all I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead, brother.
I'm letting them know now. I ain't got no space in my crib. I ain't got no space. You feel me?
Yeah. Talk like this. For you, there should be no longing. For you should be fulfillment to each other. For you, there should be no harm. For you should be a shield to each other. For you, there should be no falling. For you should be support to each other. For you, there should be no sorrow. For you should be comfort to each other. For you, there should be no loneliness. For you should be company to each other. For you, there should be no hassle. You should be peace to each other. For you, there should be no searching. You should be an end to each other. And those are vows that we took 34 years ago. They're called Kawita wedding vows. They came out of the Kawita movement with Dr. Karinga, who created Kwanzaa, who always talks about the importance of having our views and our values in order, and the principles that we aspire to and the things that we do. So when you supplement that with a strong belief in God and the Almighty, and you try to live by those principles, then your relationship will be able to withstand, I call it the test of time, because it's not to say that me and my wife haven't had some fallouts and some disagreements and other stuff, but we get back to the core and the root of what it is that we're supposed to be doing and why we came together, so that we would be a shield to each other, that we would be an end to each other. And it helps us stay focused and not get sidetracked because we had a little emotional disagreement about something.
Brother, let me ask you something on that same note. Since you put it out there, let me say this. Now, I have a saying. It ain't my saying, but it is a saying. When I was a child, I acted like a child. If something happened to me 20 years ago and my mindset ain't the way it is today, my set of principles are not what they are today. Exactly. And if I got into a relationship with someone and we incompatible, there's no way we don't even care about each other. No, ain't no more fussing and fighting and this, that. And so, like I say, we might have went into the thing for all the wrong reasons. You know why sometimes men don't think with the right head sometimes.
We don't.
And so we fall for a lot of things. Sometimes women may see men with for national stability as they think, and they going in for the wrong reason. And so even though we may have took those vows back then, and things just don't work out, then so you got to break some principles. You got to break some laws. You got to do something because like I say, all things can be mended, but some things cannot. Some things weren't supposed to be in the first place. And so even though you took those vows, it may have worked for you, but there's a whole host of people out there that it just didn't come to pass that way. Some people on the second, third, and fourth marriages. And maybe, like I said, it's a self thing, but again, at least one thing about them, they keep trying. So, they can get it right. But getting back to your thing, now you took those vows and you just said it yourself. that sometimes y'all didn't see eye to eye, and sometimes you had some issues that come up, but you say you went back to the core of things, the core of the group. And so what I was trying to say in the beginning, that's where when you say, see, in man's law, you can go get a divorce. And natural laws, that some of it is very primal about certain things. God is still certain things in men and certain things and certain emotions and certain natural things with people. And we act on those natural laws. Like I said, we want to procreate, we want to have children, we want to do all of these things. God made women pleasing to our sight and everything. So, but then there's God laws. Because we weren't godly at the time when we made those vows. And so now that you are God and now that you do know there's a higher principle in life, I'm putting this out to both of you brothers. Now that we understand the principle, and I spoke about forgiveness.
Right.
And that was yesterday. Now you made these ungodly laws and unnatural laws and a whole lot of things while you chose those relationships. So, like Al Green would say, how do you men are broken hearted? How do you those who have been through it or going through it? There's a lot of people going through it right now. This is the holiday season. This thing conjures up so many memories. The Christmas holiday, Thanksgiving, all of these kinds of things bring family and love, supposed to bring us together, but sometimes it hinders up so many heartbreaks, misunderstanding. Family members don't even speak to each other now because of something happened way back when or something. And so to you, both of you brothers, anyone y'all can jump in there. So now.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely got something to say.
As we say, keep it real. Let's keep it real. So how do you, as men today, how do you deal with that now?
Woo, Woo. Hello, everybody. Man. Okay, so just piggybacking, I was writing down some notes. And very good topic of discussion. Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Thank you, Satawi. One of the things with our men, our young black men, and I just want to throw this out there, is accountability. That's right, accountability. And somebody, what is accountability? Accountability is is pretty much being responsible. Okay, and when it comes to an individual having accountability for fact and for the behavior, sometimes taking accountability means admitting you made a mistake. And when I deal with young people at my job at the MTA, I see a lot of young men with their significant others or whatever the case may be, and they try to get over on the fare or they try to break through the turnstiles. And one of the things is you try to correct them and tell them, this is the policy. This is what you have to do. Well, they got a lot of feedback. They don't want to take accountability. Being in any type of relationship, there comes a level of accountability, being responsible. You got to have that behavior. That's one of the things of, in any type of relationship. And I was looking at when you guys were talking about weddings, being married. Sometimes I think we take those vows for granted. We really don't understand when that man of God is up there talking about, or, having us repeat, you promised to take this woman or that man through sickness and through health for better. See, we can hang around when everything is good. We can hang around when the sun is shining and everything is looking good. But can you really stand the rain when it's the worst? And everybody has a different level in their relationship for the worst. And then that's the part where we need to be accountable for. And we have to take those vows very seriously. And another thing, how do we know when a relationship is supposed to end? That's a big question. And I might get some feedback for this, but oh well. When you started it and God didn't. 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, 33 says, don't be fooled by those that say such things, for bad company corrupts good character. You keep hanging around people who ain't trying to be nothing, who ain't trying to do nothing, who's not trying to elevate and go higher. You keep being around those type of people. Eventually, your company being around them is going to corrupt bad character in you. Okay, don't be unevenly yoked, stuff like that. And I'm not just talking about on a Christian standpoint level. I'm just talking about being unevenly yoked with any type of relationship. Okay, because sometimes we think that, oh yeah, they're going to fulfill me, they're going to do these things, but in the long run, you got to ask yourself the question: what is it really going to cause? Cancer, what some things could spread like cancer. Okay. Yep. Some things can spread like cancer. Sometimes when I read scripture, I reverse engineer scripture. And when I look at, and I said this on our last podcast, I said, as iron sharpens iron, so does a friend sharpen a friend. And if people are not giving you the sharpening that you need, you understand me? Y'all need to listen to me and pay attention out there, whoever's listening at the sound of my voice. If they are not giving you the sharpening that you need, it's time to go. Because what's going to happen is just like iron. Iron sharpens iron, right? So what's the opposite? What doesn't sharpen iron? And that's wood. So you got iron and you got wood. And if wood is constantly in relationship with iron, what's going to happen is one's going to become damaged and the other one's going to become dull. And you both become damaged. Because there are some relationships that we had no business being in.
Wow. That's deep, my brother. Brothers and Tommy.
Yes, sir.
We got about 10 minutes left, but on that same subject matter, how do you mend a broken heart?
Some tape, some duct tape.
First to get to your question is, first of all, you need to be friends before you can be lovers.
That's right.
Because if you're a friend, then you're going to have a moral minimum that you're going to hold each other accountable to. And a friend would never leave another friend into danger. That's one of the things we used to tell, children that we used to work with. Also, I used to let my grandson know that it's not your right to be my friend. It is something that I allow you and give you the space to do. And so, because he used to have this thing he would go through where, he wanted everybody to be his friend. I told him, I said, that's a privilege that you grant to people.
That's right.
So it's a privilege to be my friend. And then what you have to do, you have to hold each other, we call it accountable to what we call moral minimum.
Right.
A friend would never ask somebody to do something that's immoral.
Right.
Wow.
I have somebody who's wanting to make a statement. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I have Sean Roan. Hello, Sean Roan. It's good to see you, man. He's my brother, and I thank God for his mom, who years ago when I was a young man in foster care, his mother brung me in their home, and he has been nothing but a brother to me. Sean Roan, I thank you. And he says, we as Black people always talking about the white man holding. Hold on for a second. Hold on, I'm sorry. He says, we as Black people don't take accountability for a lot of things, one being how we treat each other, and all starts with respect. If you can respect one another, respect ourselves, and respect our family. And that's true. That's true. That is true.
Well, on that same note, respect, it, like you say, it's a thing that sometimes people say you have to earn respect.
Yeah, that's true. We got to earn it.
And so, and you have to be respectful. And so, and to thyself be true. And he hitting on a lot of points, because we have been, like I say, the mind is a powerful tool. And like you said, if you take that wood and that iron and put it together, going to dull everything. and it's going to be damaged. And we are, to be honest, in this country, I'm in media, and we are damaged people because we have been taught.
We don't respect nobody.
We've been lied to. We've been bamboozled. We've been done. A lot of things have been done to us, and it has been passed down from generation to generation. And it's up to us, especially men, to right those wrongs. Now, that was done to us, but we had to dig deep within ourselves. And that was yesterday, and still today, there's people out here to harm and hurt you. But to thyself be true.
That's right.
You have to learn to respect yourself. And when you do that, when that happens, no matter what they say or who said it or who's doing what, you still have self-respect because you know who you are and whose you are. And nobody can take that away from you.
Nobody can take that away. That's right.
No matter what they do. And the first thing, when it comes back to what I was talking about earlier, what happened to me earlier, I said I made amends for what I did yesterday. And we as a people have to do that as well because we have done harm to each other. Even though we have been perpetrated into, but still, there's come a time when, like all you brothers kept saying, we have to be accountable. We have to be accountable to ourselves, to our people. And it starts with us. It starts with that man in the mirror. And every journey begins with that first step. It takes us, individuals. We can't account for a whole nation of people, but we are accountable to this one person, ourselves. And so me, David Murphy, have to be accountable to David Murphy first. And that's why I made atonement into men, because I wasn't all there because I couldn't forgive myself. And this forgiveness thing is such a powerful, powerful tool. Because sometimes you have to let go and let God. You have to release those things that held you hostage in the past. Our minds is a powerful tool. And your mind, you can't escape from. But you have to come to the reality of it, like I say, in God's laws, man's laws, as well as natural laws. It's about self-survival. It's about self-respect. And it's about self-knowledge of who you are and what you are. And when we do that, ladies and gentlemen, all things are possible because once we cleanse ourselves, then we can cleanse our families. Then we can cleanse our community.
David Murphy.
Yes, sir.
I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Okay, like I said, I don't know what that's coming from. But
no, as far as people in the community, they're talking and they got a lot to say. Is it okay if I?
Well, we got 5 minutes, and so let's go with it. That's what we're here for.
So we have Robert. He's a coworker of mine from the MTA, Baltimore. He says, "How do we identify when our axe is dull? When do we sharpen it, or when to throw it away and get a new one?" Anybody have any questions, answers for him?
Well, yeah, like I say, if you don't know, they say you need to ask somebody. And one thing you can't run from self. There's something inherited in us. It's a thing called right and wrong. Even a child knows it sometimes. From the beginning of the life, we know it's inherited in us, right and wrong. And if you look honestly at yourself, those things are already inherited in you. And so that if you don't know, and if you having problems with people having problems with you, sometimes you just got to stop looking outside. Look within yourself. You can't change nobody else, but one person you can change is you. But when you change yourself, it has an after effect. Right. It can change. It can permeate around you. And but like I said, it all comes back to self-respect, self-love. And if you're honest with yourself, be honest with yourself, and the truth will make you free.
Okay.
And she say something else. Somebody else got something want to share?
Somebody else made a comment.
Yes.
Alicia Jones says, we've become fascinated with the idea of love, but not really having a mindset to do what's necessary to obtain real love.
Well, again, this is just David Murphy saying, love is a powerful force, one of the most powerful forces there ever. I mean, all three sets of laws. And and self-love. You know, like I say, how can you? God said Himself, how can you love me and hate your brother and your sister? You know, so like I say, if you look at things from a natural law, I am you and you are me. We all interchangeable. All of us come from the same source. You are my brother. You are my son. I don't care what color you are. We all come from the same source. And so if I hate you, if I dislike this person, dislike this, guess what? That's saying something about me.
That's true.
Because I can find fault in all these other people that have problems with all these. What about the problem within myself? And so, you know, so it all comes back to that person in the mirror. Love yourself first. And if you can love yourself, then that love can permeate to somebody else, and somebody else will love you as well. But when you hate yourself, to have problems with yourself, it's extremely difficult for somebody to love you for really who you are. You know, because like I said, we look for outside surface things sometimes. We look at the television way of love, the storybook way of love, and all this kind of stuff. But true love is when you learn to love yourself, love God first, and God loves you. And then that's the first step. And then when you love yourself, you ain't gonna fall for no shorts. It's very difficult for you to fall for somebody when, you know, if they don't respect you and don't love you, it's gonna be unequally yoked, like my brother said. So love yourself first, then everything else will be added unto you. But with that being said, now look, it's a 3 minutes left. And I want Brother Satab and Brother Onri to give out your information, how people can contact you. And also, I want to invite people to come back next week at 7:30, same time, same place. And invite some friends and family members on there. Because like I said, we're open for discussion. And you can even join online, our online thing. And I'll put that in the podcast, how people can actually come on live and speak for themselves. And so, Brother Satab, you want to share your information before we close out?
Yes, sir. You can reach me at 252-458-3712. And they also can reach our nonprofit website at www.movementsUnlimitted UNLIMITED.net. NET.
All right.
Net.
Okay, Brother Onri.
All right. This is Onri Hector, and you can pretty much go on my website. It's www.onrihector.com. That's ONRIHECTOR. Or you can call me at 410-293-47. You can also see me on Facebook, Onri Hector, Instagram, Onri L. Hector. Thank you.
All right, this is David Murphy, publisher, the National Black Unity News. That's TNBUN.com, and the directory is TNBUNdirectory.com. And I can be reached at 443-455-2373. As always, I thank my co-host, Brother Satabi Jaheed, Brother Onri Hector. And as always, in closing, you know, we thank you for listening in, and we encourage you to participate. And with much love and respect, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much for sharing with us and us sharing with you, because like I say, this is the line of communication. That's how it works. You share, we share. So thank you again. And in closing, I'm going to say good night to you all.
Good night to all.